Hello everyone! Today I'd like to share with you some concepts that I hope you will find helpful for language learning, but you will see that they are also applicable for other aspects of your life. For a long time I was convinced that I couldn't study in the morning and that I couldn't be productive in the morning, like I wasn't a morning person essentially. But a few months ago, I decided to start a morning language routine for my Japanese because I had a busy timetable and it just made more sense for me to do that in the morning because I wanted to avoid, coming back home after work and feeling lazy and not study, which is what used to happen. So it just seemed to me that studying in the morning would be the best thing to do. And that's the moment when I realized that actually I could be a morning person, and the idea or the belief that I wasn't a morning person was not actually true. And this belief, along with other ones that I will talk about in this video, are what I will call the lies that our brains tell us. Now I'm kind of expecting two types of reactions to the short story I just told you. The first one will be from people that believe they're not morning people and will just say that my situation is different, they don't have the same life, they are much busier than me, they just aren't morning people. Basically, they will try to justify themselves. And the second type of reaction I'm expecting is from people that are morning people and will just think that my achievement is nothing exceptional and it's just, whatever. But the thing about these beliefs is that they are different for different people. To give you some examples, I often have students coming up with beliefs such as I'm not good at languages, I'm too old to learn, French is impossible to learn, I don't have time, I don't have a good memory, I'm doing it wrong, to learn a language you need to be in the country, and the list goes on and on and on and on. I'm gonna take a risk and just let you know that all of these beliefs are actually just ways you find to not do language learning and just generally discourage yourself. What's even more interesting is that when students come to me with these beliefs, I always try to find ways to explain to them how it's not true. I use my own examples, I use linguistics research even sometimes, and even if I give all the reasons in the world or all the reasons I can think of, they still stick to these beliefs. And now what I'm going to say next might upset some of you, maybe, it might maybe trigger some of you, but all of these beliefs are actually a pile of crap. All of it. And don't even bother telling me, you don't know my life is different, I am busy, blah blah blah, because these are just excuses you give yourself. But don't worry, I've used these excuses before as well. So now that half of the people have clicked away, let me try to explain what I mean by that. Language learning is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because it requires effort, it requires time, dedication, perseverance, mental energy, and is just generally harder than just sitting on your couch and watching Netflix. And the problem that some of you might encounter is that when it comes time to doing language learning, you will feel maybe demotivated, or you'll find lots of ways to distract yourself from actually doing it. You'll even notice that in these moments you have what we can call intrusive thoughts that just, pop up. Things like, I want to watch Netflix, oh no, I want to eat food now, or I'm just tired, I want to take a nap, or whatever comes up in your brain. The reason why this happens is because your brain likes to be in its comfort zone, and doing language learning takes effort. Therefore, your brain is, putting itself in an uncomfortable position if it's doing language learning. Your brain, generally speaking, prefers to be in an inactive state. So when you're watching Netflix, you're not actually doing much, you're not really activating your brain as much as you would be if you were doing language learning, or in fact, any other demanding activity. So when you're procrastinating, this is exactly what happens. Your brain tries to keep yourself from negative emotions. And by negative emotions, I mean, for example, when you're doing language learning, you might experience boredom or frustration when something is difficult. You might experience impatience and other negative feelings. And your brain doesn't like that because, again, it's not comfortable, it's not pleasant. So roughly speaking, your brain tries to keep you away from negative emotions. But there's more to it. When you think a thought over a long period of time, this thought can sometimes become a belief. And this belief can sometimes become true to you, or at least it will feel like it is true. And what's tricky about beliefs is that sometimes we don't even know we have them, they are quite unconscious, and because they are unconscious, they are also quite hard to get rid of, because they just sound so true to us. And there's another thing that also comes in, it's the confirmation bias. And the confirmation bias, roughly speaking, is when you have a belief and your brain will try as much as possible to find evidence to support this belief while ignoring all the evidence that goes against your belief. So let's take as an example the belief, I do not have time. For some people, this belief of not having time is something they've thought so often that it became a belief. They believe it, truly they do. And when people try to convince them that they do have time, they will find usually lots of excuses. It depends. It could be something like, I've got kids, I can't because I need to take care of this and that, and so on and so forth. And if someone tries to contradict these excuses or reasons for that person to feel like they don't have time, the person might actually start saying things like, you don't know me, you're not in my life, you're not in my shoes, and they might actually start getting angry, upset, defensive, that kind of thing. And I think that shows that you might have beliefs, but when someone contradicts them, you will ignore this sort of evidence, if I may say, and just stick to what you believe in the first place. So you could basically say that us as human beings, we are quite stubborn. But these beliefs are quite sneaky, I might say, because it's very difficult to realize you have them, and it's difficult as well to be critical about your beliefs and even consider the idea that you might be wrong about something that you've thought for such a long time. But to give you a little clue as to how to be aware when it's happening, when your confirmation bias is kicking in, is that when someone tries to contradict a belief you have and you get defensive, then there's something happening there. So are you fascinated yet? Do you now want to know what to do with all these things I've just introduced? Well, the first thing to know is that all the beliefs you have are changeable. However, it does not mean that you have to change all your beliefs. Truth is, you don't have to change any of them if you don't want to. If, for example, you're happy with the idea that you do not have time, then sure, you don't have to change that belief. That's fine. But if you're still watching this video, I'm now going to assume that there are some beliefs that you'd like to change. What I would recommend that you do is that you take a piece of paper. On top of the page, you write the belief that you have, and then underneath, try to find all the excuses you have to support that belief. Once you've done that, look at all the excuses, and for each of them, ask yourself these 3 questions. Is this actually true? Do I agree with it? And if not, how can I fix this? How can I go around the problem? The general idea is to be solution-oriented. Let me give you an example. So let's say you believe that you do not have time, then what I would suggest, for example, is to see if you can do something while commuting. If you're on the bus, for example, you can use some apps. If you're driving, you can listen to podcasts. You can decide to wake up earlier and be a morning person like me. Or if you are more of a night owl, then you can decide to study in the evening when it's quieter. Of course, these are quite simple solutions, but if you struggle to find a way around your problem, you can definitely go on the internet and try to find people that are in the same situation as you. So if you're a parent, you can check out how other parents who learn languages manage to find time to do their language learning. When you really dedicate time to question your beliefs, you will realize that sometimes our brains don't really serve our best interest, and the beliefs that we have are not actually true if you really think about it, and we can definitely change them if we need to or if we feel like it's important to. So that's it for today. I hope you found the video helpful. All of the concepts I've introduced in this video come from my personal interest in personal development. If you're curious about it, I would recommend the 2 following podcasts. The first one in English is the Life Coach School podcast by Brooke Castillo. And the second one in French is by Esther Taïfé, and it's called Se Sentir Bien. I definitely recommend these podcasts. They are amazing. I hope you will enjoy them as much as I did. And that's it for today. I will see you later, and bye.